So today we have some very important Social Security news that we need to get to. This is going to address SSI, SSDI, the Social Security Administration in general, and even Medicare. So this is what is happening. I will discuss what's going on, the things that are coming out right now. Some are going to say this is good news. Others are going to say this is bad news. I want to get your take on this. So make sure you watch this entire video and let me know your thoughts on this down in the comment section below. But first, I want to ask just one thing of you. Can you spend just 2 seconds? Go ahead, hit that like button, and also click that subscribe button so I can keep you up to date on everything that is going on surrounding Social Security and Medicare. Now, let's get right down to it. So what are lawmakers discussing at this time, and how are they potentially going to control your future? Well, unfortunately, what we saw this first week of 2022, this wasn't a positive sign. At the end of 2022, we thought that Democrats and Republicans were going to work together to attempt to bring back a bipartisan Congress, which could have meant this would have been good news for Social Security. However, that hope was quickly dashed. Instead of Democrats working together with Republicans, Democrats didn't want to help out Republicans, and even some Republicans didn't want to help their own party. As a result, it took us 15 rounds of voting before Republican Representative Kevin McCarthy was even chosen as Speaker of the House. Now, this actually takes us to our next problem, and that problem is the debt ceiling. This is a major concern. Now, as of today, this is January 8, 2023, the White House is saying that they do not want to go around Congress on the debt ceiling and they want to work together. Now, that is some positive news, but this is also normal. Usually when Congress is divided like they are now, because we got Democrats controlling the Senate, we got Republicans controlling the House of Representatives, and then we have a Democratic president. When things normally go this way, this is usually what happens. Instead of forcing something through, the White House tries to let Congress do their work. Now, this is where things get very important, and this is why this is so important regarding Social Security. Let me show you what is going on right now. And this is the problem. The debt ceiling. Now, let's go ahead and read this together. Republican House conservatives threaten debt limit default to cut social programs. Now, at the bottom of the page, it says Representative Jody Arrington, a Texas Republican, has indicated that raising the retirement age for Social Security and the eligibility age for Medicare would be common sense changes. That is something that they've been wanting to do for quite a while, is to raise the eligibility age for Medicare and also raise it for the full retirement age as well. Currently is 67 years old. Now, some are projecting that we are going to see potentially a negotiation between what it currently is at 67 versus what it could be at age 70. Now, if we see somewhere in the middle, we could see 68 or 69, but most people are projecting it will increase at some point. And again, there's only 3 years difference between 67 and 70. However, for millions of Americans, this could be the difference between them making their rent payments and paying for medication and pretty much just living versus not doing any of those things. So again, it's extremely important. Now in this, it also says that Representative Buddy Carter, a Republican out of Georgia, he's expressed his intent to cut spending in conjunction with raising the debt ceiling. So he wants to do both of those. Cut spending, but also raise the debt ceiling. So again, how do you cut spending? By increasing the full retirement age, that would cut spending. Okay? Now, I know a lot of people have been asking me, does this mean that I'm going to lose my benefits? No. According to the reports, what would happen is people that are already collecting benefits at age 67, they would be grandfathered in. They wouldn't see any changes. The other question I've been getting quite a bit lately is, let me find it really quick. one of the questions I get quite a bit is, will I see my Social Security benefits decrease? The answer there is no as well. So you won't see a decrease. The only difference is people that are just coming into Social Security wouldn't actually qualify for the full retirement age until age 70. Now, this would actually bring up early retirement as well. So you might have to, you might see some differences in numbers there. But again, at this point, it's still fairly early that we just don't know. And then Representative Lloyd Smucker, a Pennsylvania Republican, has stated his wish to establish means testing and setting income eligibility levels for Social Security and Medicare. Now, I want to touch on one other thing as well. Look at this. Representative Jason Smith, a Republican of Missouri, currently the ranking Republican member of the House Budget Committee, has indicated that he wants to use debt limit talks to extract concessions from President Biden on entitlements and spending. He has said that Congress must use every tool at its disposal to right-size the federal government. Now, also, want to keep this in mind. The federal government, the debt ceiling, you see it right there. The federal debt is projected to reach the current debt limit set at $31.385 trillion sometime in 2023. Now, according to Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen, she says this would likely be in July. Now, we do not know for sure, but, and this is something that happened last time, is Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen was able to squeeze money out of other programs in order to kind of fund the government for a little bit longer. I think it happened for about 2 to 3 weeks in the previous debt limit debate. So we will see what happens there. Another thing that I want to read you, and again, this is regarding what could happen moving forward. And I want to touch on this because it says, when the House Speaker issue is finally resolved, which it finally is, good news, it says the House Rules Committee will vote on a rules package for the new Congress. Now, this is something that we are likely to see this week, so make sure you do one thing, subscribe to this channel so you never miss an update. I will keep you updated on what's going on there. But it says, the package includes a provision calling for the elimination of the Gerfart rule, preventing the House from automatically suspending the debt limit upon passage of a budget resolution. In addition, the measure reinstates the cut-go rule, requiring mandatory spending increases to be offset by corresponding cut in mandatory spending. And it reimposes a 3/5 supermajority in the House to approve any increase in tax rates. That could be pretty big. It also goes on to say, legislation to increase or suspend the debt ceiling would require both passages by the House of Representatives and the Senate and the President's signature. With a Democratic majority in the Senate and a Democrat for president, chances of House legislation to curb the debt limit through cuts to social service programs is unlikely to make its way into law. Now, they're right about that. But even though they're right about this, doesn't mean this is good news. And I say this for a couple reasons. We have to do one thing, and that is we have to increase the debt ceiling. That's one thing that must get done probably by July of 2023. If it doesn't, the United States could default on its debts. So obviously that's a major issue. But seeing cuts to Social Security or an increase to full retirement age, those are issues as well. Now, I've talked about how it's very unlikely that we see Democrats vote to cut Social Security benefits or to raise the full retirement age. But if that is their only option because it's going up against the debt ceiling, well, they're going to have to do it. So let's talk about this one thing. What happens to Social Security if the government does default on its debts? Well, the first thing that would happen is Social Security checks would be delayed. And this would be delayed due to lack of government workers. Not delayed because there's no funding, it would be delayed because of the lack of workers. That's why. Also, a debt limit breach would mean cutting off Medicare payments to healthcare providers. It would likely mean halting payments to military service members. And it would also freeze Social Security payments not already going out. What I mean by this, and you're going to see reports on this as we get closer to this debt ceiling standoff, because my guess is that's what it's going to be. What's going to happen is, for people that are or haven't got their first Social Security check, guess what? You're likely to see that check will not come until the debt ceiling increase goes through. But again, that sets us up for this debate. Do we put the debt ceiling up against Social Security, or how do we increase it? Because Republicans want to reduce spending, Democrats want to increase it. Well, the debt ceiling is right there to try to keep that peace and that middle ground. Now, the next thing that will happen is that revenue coming in would be less than the money going out. As a result, it's going to hurt Social Security in the short term. But in the long term, not much is really going to happen, because once the debt ceiling is agreed to, things will most likely go back to normal. But the big problem is, how do Democrats get enough support to increase the debt ceiling? Because they need Republican support. At this time, I don't think any Republican is going to support a Democratic bill. So that means Democrats have to work in conjunction with Republicans. And the big worry is that the increase to the full retirement age is going to be the first thing that does happen. However, here's the one piece of good news, is that if we do see the full retirement age go up for people that are over the age of 70, guess what? That means there's a very good chance that your Social Security benefits don't go down. Because the worry is, if Social Security becomes insolvent, then people that are receiving benefits would only get 75 to 77% of their full benefit amount. That right there would be devastating, because I can tell you right now that the majority of Americans that are on Social Security, they can't afford to lose 22 to potentially 25% of their income. So that's what we know at this time. As always, as I know more regarding Social Security and what is coming, I promise I will fill you in on all the latest news and updates. Thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.